Well, as it says, welcome to my channel. This video is brought to you by the amazing subscribers who have, as it says, amazing taste. I'm going to review the shows they've seen every episode of. I'm going to give you a few things that I think about them, what I know, a few facts and things like that. So let's go. A shout out. Let's just say thank you to Brian's WWE Figures, Alucard, Uncle Ed's autographs and stuff, 59 Survivor VHS, Horror Cat Dad, Mikey's Morgue, Mr. Shelton TV, Cinephile Sanity, Cinderella, Mayan, Spicy 4K Action, Cullen, Bohannon, 1408, Doctor Impossible The Counterpunch 1984, Live Style Rewind, and R2 the Cat. All people who suggested things to talk about in this video. So here we are, that's what we're doing. So the first one we're going to look at is Married with Children. So I remember Married with Children being on in the UK quite late on terrestrial TV, but also quite regularly on satellite TV. And it was really popular in the UK. And I think it was really popular in America. It was weird. It was kind of lumped in with The Simpsons as anti-family values. But I think it was more, maybe it was like a classist thing that they didn't. It was a genuine working class family, and with pretty much grounded. I mean, some of the stuff was a bit wild, but pretty much grounded issues that were going on. But it was hilarious. Callbacks episode to episode. Really good cast. I think what I really enjoyed the most about Married with Children was Grandmaster B. I loved Dave Faustino as Bud. He was one of my favourite characters in it. Kelly got sort of more like Joey and Friends in a lot of ways. Obviously that was much later, but with that idea of not being very intelligent, and she sort of got less intelligent as the seasons went on, which actually made her a really funny character too. They were all great characters. Everyone was good in it. I think I preferred Steve over Jefferson, but Married with Children is one of those that you could watch it now and have a really good laugh. And I like older series where they go longer and things get more confused and characters come and go and we add people in. I don't mind all that. That's all good fun to me. The next one is Boy Meets World. Now, I am a massive fan of Will Friedle. I think he was just hilarious. Obviously, he's in Batman Beyond as well. But I just thought him as Eric. And again, he's another one victim of the curse of becoming less intelligent as the series went on, but funnier. He just got funnier and funnier. The Feeney Call, plays with squirrels when he was a Native American. The sort of flights of fancy that Eric would do were hilarious. His odd couple relationship with Feeney, and obviously Feeney grounded that show with such gravitas and such love. William Daniels, what an incredible actor, you know, from St. Elsewhere and Knight Rider and all the other things he's done, all the things he's done on stage and screen. But you know, that last episode is heartbreaking. But yeah, incredible. And again, I think for me, they were all great in it. All the characters were great, but my favourite was Eric. He was so good. People maybe don't give it enough credit. Did anybody watch Girl Meets World? What did you think of that? The next up is Dallas. I remember Dallas because it was talked about on the radio all the time, because I'm an old man, and I remember Terry Wogan on the radio talking about Dallas. Dallas was like a phenomenon in the UK. I know it was a phenomenon in America, but it's unusual, specific to this particular area and oil and all the kinds of things that you wouldn't think, but it was just basically a big soap opera, wasn't it? And it got crazy, you know. Bobby waking up in the shower, it was all a dream. And I remember Ken Kercheval's character, Cliff Barnes. Everything always went wrong for him, and JR just became more and more of a pantomime villain. But apparently Larry Hagman was a really, really cool guy in real life and used to give people JR dollars when he met them with a picture of himself on them. He'd do that because he was like a germaphobe, or he had immune issues, so he would just give people things rather than shake their hands because he didn't want to upset them, which I thought was a really sweet, really nice thing to do. So yeah, great music as well. And Cody from Step by Step was in it later on, wasn't he? One of the Ewing boys. So yeah, Dallas again. not talked about that much anymore. I think they did a reboot of it, but it's not going to be the same, is it, that one? It's a bit like the reboots of Hawaii Five-0 and Magnum. I'm not interested in watching those. They're possibly quite good. There was a reboot of MacGyver as well. Anyway, next one is Friends. Friends, again, is become one of those things where it was just everywhere. So I watched it the first time when it was first on Channel 4, and it was a phenomenon. There was like special shows about meeting the cast, and they became like superstars. And then they repeated it on E4 in the UK, and it was on every day. My wife watched it every single day. And they repeated it somewhere else again, and we watched it again. So like we watched it like 3 times. By the third time, I was kind of tailing off, but I always appreciated it. I started off being like a massive Chandler fan, ended up being like a really big Joey fan. I was really disappointed with the spin-off. I always felt like him going to Hollywood and being in, and actually seeing more of the things that he was in would have been really funny. I don't know if you remember when he did Mac and Cheese, or the VD adverts, or the plays, or Joey teaching acting. Those were all hilarious, but you didn't get to see much of that in the sitcom spin-off Joey, which didn't quite work, did it? The next one's Tales from the Crypt, Crypt Keeper. Now, I've seen some of the films, spin-offs from it. I think Bordello Blood and things like that, which I really enjoyed. I've seen some of the episodes of Tale of the Crypt, but I really need to get into that. Most of the people who've said it's really, really good are people whose taste is excellent. So I need to go and really have a proper deep dive into Tales from the Crypt. The next one I don't need to do a deep dive into, because I did this pretty much my whole childhood, was Saved by the Bell. Now, I have watched every episode of Saved by the Bell, every single one, and every episode of College Years. Not every episode of The New Class, because I'm not a sadist. I probably watched maybe 2 or 3 series and then dropped in and out of it, depending on what was happening. Screech came back. Love Saved by the Bell. So good. So much fun. Just comfort TV. Just used to watch it in the holidays, in the mornings, had them all, recorded them all on VHS, which I think got put in landfill somewhere. But yeah, I just love Saved That. It's really underrated writing as well, to be consistently funny for that long. You can dip back into it and enjoy it. And the new series has just been cancelled. I didn't mind the first. I saw the first season of it. I didn't get around to watching the second one, but I think it's just been cancelled. The reboot. So yeah, the next one is The Simpsons. You may have heard of it. Just going back to when The Simpsons came out, similar to Friends in a way, where you've got that phenomenon. Do you remember when Bart, you could buy Bart on everything? Like, I suppose you still can, but it was literally everywhere. Everybody was wearing like a Bart t-shirt. And the VHSs were really hard to get hold of, and they had like 2 episodes on each one of them, and you had to try and get hold of them. And if you didn't have Sky, which I didn't at the time, it was impossible, and you were just desperate to watch them. I even had Do the Bartman on 45 single, and I don't think I'd even seen an episode of The Simpsons at that point. Obviously, as an adult, 90% of my references and things that I say are from The Simpsons. So yeah, The Simpsons is just incredible. And to be fair, you can still find good episodes. I'm not a believer that just after a certain point it stopped being funny. There are still the odd one that is really good. It's just that the ones that you've watched over and over again and you remember just happen to be formative in your life and are really, really good. But there was still a few good ones around as well. Mystery Science Theatre is the next one. I know this will be Larry who watched every one of these. I've probably watched every episode of Mystery Science Theatre too. I am really the kind of guy who is just the riffs when it comes to Mystery Science Theatre. It's my comfort TV. Every Sunday before dreading going to work or whatever it was, I would sit and I would watch Mystery Science Theatre. As a kid, I was into it so much that when it was on Sci-Fi Channel in the UK and it was taken off, I wrote to the Sci-Fi Channel to ask them about bringing it back. They sent me a little green man squishy figure thing and a letter and said thanks for supporting it. I then found in America and got shipped over like a guide to it, which I then learned about episodes that I would want to watch when I had the opportunity to watch them, and get a couple of the DVDs eventually when DVDs became a thing, which was really tricky because they were super expensive in region 1. but I absolutely loved it. I love the riffs. I do like the stories in between, and I think maybe we've gone a bit too far in that direction with some of the later ones, because I just want to get to them riffing on films. It just feels like sitting with your friends. It just feels like listening to your funniest friends saying the funniest things about films. I learnt a lot about some good films from it as well. I always feel it's done with love. It is just my comfort. I love riff tracks as well. It's just my comfort thing. So next on the list is something I can't say a lot about, which is The Kids in the Hall. Kids in the Hall is Canadian, so it's going to be funny. So many funny Canadians. But I've watched little clips of it. I remember it used to be on Channel 4 briefly. I think I've seen Brain Candy, the film. I do like them. I think I need to go back and watch them. I think there's been a reboot on Amazon, so maybe I'll have a look at that. Sketch comedy and things like that. Mr. Show was one that I probably watched more and really enjoyed. I love. Remember the Swear to God sketch on that one on Mr. Show? Google that one. So funny. But yeah, I need to go back and check that one out, so I can't say too much about The Kids in the Hall. The next one I can, The Love Boat. Again, that is comfort TV for me, The Love Boat. Dead simple, escapism. Even Poseidon wouldn't put me off wanting to go on The Love Boat. Like this is something that I would love to have been on The Love Boat. It looked amazing, the weather was always great, but we don't really have a lot of like that now. The next one, South Park, consistently funny for years and years and years. The films Trey Parker and Matt Stone have made are all amazing too. Sometimes people forget a bit about those, and just how you would sit in the South Park movie and hear the whole cinema laughing, like uproariously laughing, which you don't hear very much. Team America the same. I'd love to see the Book of Mormon. Has anyone seen the Book of Mormon? Tell me what it's like. I hear it's really good. But yeah, the Kanye West stuff, I think they're the best when they're skewering people's egos and in a clever, funny way. Yeah, I just love South Park. It's amazing. Do you remember when everyone had like South Park stuff, like plushies and t-shirts and keychain? I had a Kenny keychain on my first car, my first set of car keys. So yeah, it's amazing. Next one's Chappelle's Show. So many timeless sketches there that are just absolutely hilarious. The Rick James stuff, and beyond that, it was the stand-up in between. He was at his absolute peak there and was worth every penny that they were willing to pay him, even when he turned it down. In a way, like, it's given him license now to do whatever he wants. And sometimes I'll watch a new Dave Chappelle and I'll be like, that's absolutely amazing, that's hilarious. And then other times I'll just be like, I don't smile once. It's a bit hit and miss now, but I feel like Chappelle's Show is where he absolutely honed his craft. It was so creative and funny. All of the sketches kind of flowed nicely. And then I guess that influenced and played into like Key and Peele. I'm a massive Key and Peele fan, East Coast, West Coast Bowl and all that. So yeah, Chappelle's Show was amazing. The next one's Seinfeld. I've watched every episode of Seinfeld. I got halfway through Curb Your Enthusiasm, which I also love, and I need to catch up with. But Seinfeld, I watched them all once, and I loved them, and even my parents liked it. Like, everyone likes Seinfeld. It's just so funny. I liked it when Kramer had the Merv Griffin chat show set. I liked the Close Talker. I liked George eating the cream cake off the top of the bin. Oh, just so many, refusing to be fired. All of these things are just so well done, just so clever. However, the more I watch Seinfeld, rewatching it and watching a lot in one go, it kind of made me feel a bit sad and a bit like, oh, these people are quite so self-involved and so self-important that I didn't enjoy it as much, or kind of hung up on the tiny things in life, which is totally fine. for purposes of comedy, and I guess you can, sometimes we all have those little moments. But I think it's really interesting because I know that Larry David's finishing now, and he was kind of saying the same thing, like he wants to just go and love the things he loves and kind of, let certain foibles and things that upset him, let them go. And I think that's quite interesting because that's kind of how I felt with Seinfeld, even though I do love the show and there's some actual genuinely hilarious stuff on it all the way through. Like every character who comes into it, whether it's Newman or so many different kinds, like Jerry's parents I think are underratedly funny, George's parents of course. Elaine is just a wonderful character. They're all great. They're all amazing. When George's fiance is kind of like a play on the "Mad About You" thing, and she dies, and he's kind of happy about it. It's quite dark, isn't it? Really. Speaking of dark and strange, some people have mentioned Twin Peaks. So I had to watch Twin Peaks at university. I had to study it. I haven't watched it since. So I watched the first series of it. I feel like I'd like to have a good rewatch of every episode of it. Obviously, David Lynch is such a creative genius. Yeah, tell me why I should go and watch every episode of Twin Peaks, because I probably will. I think I had the box sets for ages, never watched them, and then traded them in. I probably end up buying them back. The next one is Lost. I've never seen an episode of Lost. I've heard it's quite creative. I think it's J.J. Abrams, isn't it? And the layout and the structure of it was a bit different than what was around at the time. When this is just that kind of peak where we're getting that idea of TV shows being as valuable and as big and as sort of powerful as movies, around the time of The Sopranos and The Wire, which I have seen. I've seen all of The Sopranos. I've seen 90% of The Wire. But Lost, yeah, I think Lost came out when I was meeting my wife, and she actually ended up missing the series. She watched about half of it and then never went back to it. So yeah, tell me guys, should I watch Lost? Should I go back and watch Lost? The next one is The Addams Family. I remember that being on BBC Two a lot when I was a kid. I used to really like Cousin It. I used to find Cousin It really funny. Who's your favourite character from The Addams Family? It's endured. I mean, blimey, we're still talking about Jenna Ortega doing different versions now. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. The Munsters. Now, the weird thing for me, I saw the Munsters today. More first before I saw the original Munsters. It was just on like Saturday lunchtime, the Munsters Today, where they kind of rehash some of the same stories and characters and ideas. Actually, I don't think it was that bad, but the original one, when I went back and watched it, I was like, oh, this is the real deal. So yeah, I love the Munsters. Keeping Up Appearances. Funny thing, if you've ever watched Keeping Up Appearances, it's kind of like a comedy of manners, a comedy of class based in the UK. I used to really hate it as a kid because there wasn't a lot going on in it. Watching it back, it's quite funny watching her tie herself up in knots. Also, the guy who plays her husband, Richard, he's done some horrendous interviews where he's just so horrible to the people interviewing him. It's actually so bad it's funny. So if you just Google a Richard interview, Keeping Up Appearances, you'll find some crazy stuff online. The next one is one that I always owned, either in VHS, DVD, in every format I could find it, because it's just perfect. It's the perfect length of time in terms of not running out of ideas. So well written by Connie Booth and John Cleese. John Cleese. But yeah, Fawlty Towers. Fawlty Towers. Just I spend most of my life going, yes, dear, I'm doing it, dear, and shaking my fist at things and kind of. I said it once, I think I got away with it. It is just intrinsically part of my life. Fawlty Towers, just love it. It's so good. Even the signs at the beginning where it's like farty towels and other anagrams of the anagrams? Yeah, anagrams of Fawlty Towers is funny as well. Next one, the IT Crowd. I can't say I think every episode of the IT Crowd is perfect or amazing, but some of them, when they're good, they're great. So like the gay musical one, the football one, I can pick out certain episodes where I'm just rolling around on the floor laughing. I can go back to them and watch them over and over again. There's certain episodes. And so many British comedians kind of you spot in there, like Matt Berry's in there, Noel Fielding's in there. But yeah, Richard Ayoade is amazing. But the three main leads are all incredible. Parks and Rec, I've not seen. I do like Ben Schwartz. I think he's really good. I used to watch him in Comedy Bang Bang quite a lot. So maybe I will go and watch Parks and Rec. People tell me to just kind of ignore the first season and then get really into it, and it gets better and better and better. So maybe that's the issue, because I have watched a few of the first ones. I felt like I had to be Team Community or Team Parks and Rec, and I was Team Community because I was like, cool, cool, cool. I was out trying our bed in the morning. So the last one is one I think of just such poignancy and well made, well acted. The Incredible Hulk TV show. It's worth getting. You can get it so cheaply now. The full box set. It's really worth doing it. That music at the end where he walks away. Every episode's different because he's moving on to helping different people or kind of escaping something. Bill Bixby, wow, incredible tour de force in that. Lou Ferrigno, so good. Just a physical force in there. But yeah, I think people sleep on that and kind of laugh it off a bit because of the time, because of the age of it. But it still stands up. Like the Incredible Hulk TV series, is it any worse than stuff that Marvel putting on Disney Plus? I don't think so. I think it's actually better than a lot of them. Maybe not the one where I think I seem to remember one with Incredible Hulk and Thor in a courtroom, a TV movie, which wasn't amazing. But the actual series, the Bill Bixby series, really worth watching. So yeah, just a huge thank you to you all, shouting out the things that you watched, and I just thought I'd give my thoughts on them. Make sure, if you don't subscribe to the people that I've put in the description, consider doing so, because they're all great people with fantastic taste in TV shows. Are there other things that I should check out that I haven't? Are there things that I've said in the video that you've gone, no, I think you should maybe go back and look at that in a different way? Because that's what it's all about, really, just finding out more about stuff that we love, or stuff that maybe we missed out on the first time around, because there's only so many hours in a day. So yeah, okay guys, lots of love, and this is Matt Headroom signing off.